Hello everybody, Dave Beavers here with Giant Slayer Consulting, and I've got my friend and teammate here, Bill Kraft, and today we're on lesson number 9, the Law of Magnetism. Now we've took a week or so off for the past week or so because of the holidays, and we've came back and we've reformatted some things. We're going to try to stream this live, so we might have a few bugs in our system today, but bear with us, be patient with us. We're continually trying to improve the process, because our goal is to add value to you. So you should be seeing this live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and if you see a link there, just go on there and subscribe to my channel, and that way you'll get notifications when this is coming to you, however you receive your notifications. And also on Facebook. Now you should be getting a notification there too. We're sending out a little reminder. So, but the main thing is get subscribed to the channel, and then you'll be able to have access to all the free things and teaching we have on there. So today, we're going to talk about the law of magnetism. And if you look on your screen, we talked a little bit about the 5 levels of leadership. Facebook. We got Facebook comments here?
No.
We got to share it there. Okay, hang on, folks. We're going to go in here and try to share this to Facebook, so bear with us. Where we go here? How low do we go to get there? All right, let's see. I need to go to my YouTube channel to do that, don't I, Evan?
Yeah.
Go on to YouTube. Share it to Facebook.
There you go.
All right. All right, Evan. Do you have us live on Facebook yet? Can you see anything?
I don't know you.
I
think you might hit only me
Where at on
your share.
the share?
Yeah.
That's what happened. That's what happened to us last time. We're going to go public. And here we go. Alright. Alright, Evan. You see anything on Facebook?
There it is.
Are we live?
Yep.
Alright, folks. Facebook friends, YouTube friends. Again, I'm Dave Beavers with Giant Slayer Consulting. This is Bill Kraft, my friend and teammate. And today we're going to talk about the law of magnetism. And some folks call it the law of attraction. It's pretty synonymous with the meaning, and it really means the same thing. Now, last week we didn't broadcast, and we were off for a week, and we've changed some things. This week we're streaming live. Before we were doing Zoom calls, and it wasn't working out so good with the communication and getting it linked up. So hopefully this is working better. So if you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, I want to hear from you. So send me your comments, your questions, your concerns, anything, feedback, because we want to improve this process, because our goal is to add value to you. And today, our law number 9 is the law of magnetism. It's taken from John's book, The 21 Laws of Leadership. And we'll just do a little quick review of what we did last week. But before we do, I want to talk about this model you should be seeing on your screen. And it's really the 5 levels of leadership. It's important to understand this. And most folks might say, well, I'm not a leader. What's this all about? Well, everybody has influence. Everybody has influence with somebody, whether you're a parent, a brother or sister, a sibling, whether you're a co-worker, whether you're a business owner, a teacher, coach, whoever you are, you have influence with somebody. So if you want to improve your influence, we've got to grow, don't we, Bill?
Yes.
So let's talk about this first level of leadership, which is the positional. And Bill, you care to tell us a little bit about what this means when we have level 1 leadership ability?
Well, this is leadership based on title and not talent. It's the manager that was appointed to see over the group or the team. It's not necessarily innate leadership skill. It's position. It's your function. It's not anything personal. It's the function of the job itself.
And we can talk about that as far as like parenthood. By default, we're the leader of the family if we're a parent, but that doesn't necessarily make us a positive influencer, does it? So that means we've got to grow. And most of the time, children don't come with an instruction manual, so we've got to go through the process with them. So by default, we have a position there.
And then people in positional leadership, they influence people not by leading them, but actually by coercing them. If you're in a positional leadership, you have power over purse strings. You have power over something that someone wants, and you use some coercion to get to what you.
Yeah, and a lot of times we don't even realize we are. We're just trying to get the job done.
Yeah.
We're trying to manage systems, and to do that, we manage people, and then we forget about the leading people. Because if I'm the leader and I'm the boss, and I go away and folks aren't doing what we need to do as a team and fulfilling the team's mission, then I'm not really leading them, I'm just managing.
It's going back to the parent thing, because I said so.
Yeah, because I said so. That's the worst. That's the very fundamental beginning part of leadership, and it's a bad place to stay.
It is.
All right, second level is permission. Here, trust is being earned. They start to see that, hey, we do care about them, and we do have their best interests at heart. So they start to allow us to lead them, and it starts to change here, doesn't it?
Yeah, some of the leadership comes from their wanting to rather than their having to.
So once that happens, then we start improving. The family starts to improve, the team starts to improve, the business starts to improve, and we're moving to the third level, which is production. And things are going pretty good right here most of the time. We have people that we lead, we have positive influence with, and those that are leading us are starting to recognize our capacity to run a team, and we start to get some influence with them. But it's really dangerous to get stuck right here in the bill.
Yeah, this is just to get something done.
Yeah, it's getting done, and too many organizations get stuck here. Because while things are going good, we're busy doing the things that keep the system running, and we're not thinking about down the road in the future so much, so we leave out the next critical step, which is people development. Tell us a little bit about that, Bill.
And people development's where you're developing a leader to take your place, or you're developing someone to step in and either take your place or to grow the organization in a new direction.
Yeah.
It's it's developing people that can lead others through the first three.
And this is so important for us to really have this mindset, is like, because we can get busy. And sometimes it's too busy, and we can say, well, I don't have the funds or the resources, I don't have the time to train, and we get stuck, and we never seem to find the time or the resources to do it. But sometimes we just got to stop a little bit and get our bearings and find out who are we going to train to pass this on, because we cannot continue. Because what happens is we'll crash and burn, or we'll burn out.
Well, then there's a limit to the number of people that any individual can lead.
Yeah.
And if you don't get layers where you can lead leaders to lead other people,
exactly,
you're going to limit yourself.
Exactly. So we have to start finding that protege to sow into, don't we? And then if we do that long enough, and we're intentional long enough, we do move to level number 5, which very few people really get to.
Yeah.
And this is the pinnacle of personhood. And this person's respected by what they have done for other leaders and helped empower them. And so it's if we have that goal in mind, we can begin to start to grow ourselves. But if we don't have that intentionality and that concern about the future and sustainability, then we're going to get stuck on level 3.
Yeah.
And then when things go bad, they go bad, don't they?
They do.
And we can't turn around and go back and start to train right then. We can, but it's going to take us a lot longer.
Or if you have a disruption, you're focused on one thing and you can't shift to another because you're focused on these results.
Yeah. We get too results oriented right then, and we get stuck. So the leader, an influencer, is a person, they're measuring their results by how they're lifting and raising up people. So that's the leadership model, the 5 levels of leadership. So let's do a quick review of what we've studied so far. And Bill, tell us a little bit about the law of the lid.
The law of the lid states your leadership is like a lid or a ceiling on your organization. And what it's telling us is that it doesn't matter what your aspiration is for your organization, you can't get it above your leadership ability.
Yeah.
And to increase the potential of your organization, you have to increase the ability of your leadership.
Right. And you can be a great manager, and you can manage a system and be doing really well, but to grow that system and to expand on it, we've got to grow people, don't we? Because we can only do so much on our own. The McDonald brothers were a prime example of it, and Ray Kroc comes in, buys them out, he takes it, and of course we know who McDonald's is now, but at one time they had about 11 or 12 stores, and that's as far as they could go because of great management from the McDonald brothers. Had the best system ever.
Great innovation.
Great innovation, but they did not have the leadership ability to take it further than where they were at. Matter of fact, they were kind of shrinking down, small, coming back. All right, the law of influence is basically what we just talked about. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. If we think we're leading people and we look back and nobody's really following us,
we're taking a walk.
We're taking a walk, aren't we?
A lonely walk.
Yeah. Law process, Bill.
Law process. Leadership is developed daily, not in a day. These skills and abilities and trust, they don't happen. They're not an event. They're things that happen each day with little things. And those little things add up and continue to accrue to us or to the leader, and the skills accrue.
This is so important because, when you're young, you think things happen overnight, man. We've got all kinds of time, and when you feel like you're called to lead, a lot of times we think we know it all, or we can learn it quicker than someone before us. But it does just take time, and over time, learn those principles and growing compounds. So just like interest in the bank, the law of navigation says anybody can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. And I like the illustration of, the leader is the person who climbs the highest tree to see which direction to go. We can hack roads out and through the forest and try to make roads, but if we don't know where we're going, we can stay there for a long time lost. So it takes a leader to get that vision, to get out and see where the team needs to go. What about the law number 5, Bill?
The law of addition. Leaders add value by serving others. And this is, what counts with leadership is not what you take away, but what you give.
Mm-hmm.
And by giving to other people, you talk about Zig Ziglar. You give enough people what they want, you're going to get what you want.
Exactly. If I can add value to my team, then the team automatically adds value back to me because they grow, their performance improves, confidence grows, morale changes, so everybody's a winner when we do that. All right, the law of solid ground says that trust is the foundation of leadership. And that's really simple, but it's really profound. Without trust, what's the use? Yeah. People can love us and care about us, but not trust us.
Right.
So we get stuck there because of that trust. Law 7, Bill.
Law of respect. People naturally follow leaders stronger than themselves. And, you want to have people around you that you can respect and that you will follow, but you also need people around you. You have to be stronger than the people around you if you want them to follow you.
Yeah. And it's not a competition, is it?
No, it's not competition.
Because if we're going to really be a leader, we're going to have to work harder, aren't we? If we're going to be a good leader, we got to work harder than the rest of the pack. And so that means that people have to respect us. So we have to have a good work ethic. We have to care about people, and we'll get respect from them that way. All right, the law of intuition says that leaders evaluate everything through a leadership bias. So not every leader is strong in every area. Some folks are strong in administration. Some folks are strong in people skills. We got different areas of leadership, but if we know what our strength zones are, our intuition is strong and we can start to trust it there. Now, if there's areas that we're not really strong at, what do you think we should do, Bill?
Well, that's use complementary relationships to bring people in that can bolster the organization in those areas.
I have to come to you and say, Bill, I've got an issue over here. I think you've got the ability to help me in this area because I don't know. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And it takes humility to do that, doesn't it?
Yes.
So we don't have to know all the answers if we've got a team. All right. Now, John's teachings in this book is really broken down 3 parts. We learn about the principle. We talk about living the principle, and then we talk about how to lead others to the principle. So today, we'll kick it off with learning about the law of magnetism. And when that old saying that birds of a feather flock together, don't you think that's a true statement?
Yeah,
Ben?
it is.
And think about our own lives. You think about your lives. Think about the people in your life. And I promise you, when you really think about it, the people that are in your life, most of the people that want to spend time with you and you want to spend time around, they're a lot like you. We share some things in common, whether it's personalities, values, or whatever. We are magnetized or drawn to those kind of people, and they're drawn to us too. Now that can be good or that can be bad, couldn't it, Bill?
Yes.
But the 3 things that are areas that people are drawn to is first one is generational. Most organizations, groups, people, even departments attract people of similar age. And you can look at that in churches. You can look at that in businesses. You look at that in the different types of businesses. The different types of people are drawn to those because of similar age.
Similar age groups.
Yeah. I mean, you can look in churches and And if you got a young group of people, it's mostly the young folks. If it's a little older generation, it's mostly the older. So we have to work hard to break down those generational barriers if we want a very diverse group of people on our team, don't we? What about being background related, Bill?
Well, personal circumstances and experiences, are things that help shape people's life. And it's social background, ethnic backgrounds, upbringing, things like that. And in the book, John talks about Teddy Roosevelt and his cowboys that went up San Juan Hill. Well, they're cowboys and aristocrats.
Yeah.
But that's because that was Teddy Roosevelt's background. It was cowboys and aristocrats.
Well, you can look at it today, and if you find 2 or 3 farmers in a room, they're going to gravitate to each other because they got something in common. They're going to talk about farming. And if you see a group of people and 2 or 3 teachers in a room, they'll naturally gravitate because they've got something in common to share. And that's the law of magnetism in action right there. And that's also attitude related. Thirdly, and the way a person views something or tends to behave toward it. If folks have a good attitude, a positive attitude, then sometimes positive attitude people are magnetized to them. Now, you can also take it on negative attitude people. Sometimes you get people together and they have a gripe session. It can really get crazy. But people come together based off of attitude too, don't they? Yeah. I like to think I'm a positive attitude person. I'm not always, but I strive to be. But I don't like to be around folks who have a negative outlook. So when I see somebody who has a positive attitude, I kind of gravitate to that. And hopefully helping my own attitude when I do. All right, now let's talk about the second stage of the law of magnetism. That's living the law of magnetism. Now, looking back on my life, I can think of times that people were magnetized or I was attracted to, not really consciously.
Mm-hmm.
I had some folks show up in my life for most of my young adult life that were really kind of rebellious. And they were kind of rebels. They kind of stood out. They were a little different. Didn't quite fit in to the everyday mold. And we kind of hung out together, did things together. But after I become aware of this law, I realized what had happened. They were drawn to me. I had a natural tendency to lead and be a leader, and they came to me because I was kind of like their leader, and I kind of validated them, and we kind of shared some things in common. We was always challenging the system, bucking authority, and all these things. But as I realized that some of these folks that I hung out with loved them, but their character and their intentions were not the best. They really weren't going anywhere and didn't have any goals for their life, so I was kind of stuck. And so I had to change my inner circle, but I also had to change myself. I began to grow, and some of these folks didn't want to hang out with me anymore.
Change your peers or you change your peers.
That's it, isn't it? So there's some things we should do if we want to really think about the people that are in our lives. And we have to ask ourselves, basically about our mission statement. What am I about? Who am I? Who do I want to be? And you talked a little bit earlier about becoming.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, Bill.
If you're having a lot of people in your life that you think, you wonder about them, you've got to look at yourself. You don't want to change. You don't need to focus on changing the people in your life or the people you're bringing in before you change. Focus on asking yourself, why am I attracting them into my life? What is it about me that brings them in?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the people that we attract in our lives are not necessarily different, but a mirror.
Yeah.
And we're seeing maybe something of ourselves that we're not going to like, and that we need to reach in and change.
Yeah. So we have to ask ourselves, who am I? Who do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And begin to think that's the kind of folks I want attracted into my life. But I've got to be that kind of person to attract those kind of people into my life. So if I'm going to be an honest person, I want honest people in my life, I have to ask myself, am I honest? Do I have integrity?
Yes.
Am I industrious? Am I productive? If I want production in my life, I've got to ask myself, how do I attract those productive people into my life so I can work on a productive team? Well, I've got to be productive. So we've got to change and ask ourselves, take an inventory of what we want out of our life. But secondly is the vision statement. What will I do next? In the next 5 years, what is my personal goals? Now, if I don't have those, an inkling of what I want, I'm going to be drawn to people who don't have those either. And we just kind of get stuck in that cycle of folks not really having any idea what they're going to go, just kind of letting life happen to them.
And then you can be productive there, but you don't get anywhere because you change direction every day.
Yeah. Activity does not mean accomplishment, does it? We can be busy doing some things in life and really work hard, but never really get to where we want to. And look back and think, why am I not moving forward? Well, really, most of the time, we really don't what we want. Most people, 97, 98% of the people I talk to, really cannot define what they want their lives to look like 5 years from now. They can give you some pipe dreams,
Yeah.
but they really cannot specifically spell it out. What about core values, Bill?
Well, core values are important because those are the things you stand for, the things you believe in. What do I stand for? What do I believe in? And we're going to attract people who have similar core values to ourselves.
Yeah.
And, if it's, like you mentioned, honesty, you have to have that value of honesty if you want honest people in your life.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're going to attract.
And that's so true, because core values are really who you are.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be something you're not, or you allow people into your life that are affecting your decisions, and you have to violate your core values, you're never really going to feel validated and feel whole. So we have to find folks who share our common values, but think different thoughts.
Yeah.
Think differently, but they do share our values, so that we can move forward with them. So ask ourselves, the core values that you see in other people, do you like them? Are the ones who are attracted into your life, the ones you're spending the most time with, do you like their values? And if you don't, you got to ask yourself, do I know what my core values are? Am I standing up for my core values? Because more than likely, if you don't like your inner circle's core values, more than likely we got some character issues ourselves. And I had to ask that myself too. When I finally determined my 5 core values, it wasn't 5 values that I had mastered. It was 5 values I wanted.
Right.
I wanted to be respectful. I wanted to have integrity. I wanted to strive for excellence. I wanted to make sure that I was looking out for the safety and well-being of the people in my life. And I wanted to do excellent work. And I wasn't doing all those things. And I still struggle some of those areas. But those are my 5 core values that I work for. And that's the kind of folks I want in my life too. So I have to be that, don't I?
Yeah.
All right. What about social?
Social, that's, how I act in accordance with my vision, values, and mission statement, and who will I be accountable to. The social contract is, we have to get along with people, and we have to have people in our lives, but we have to be responsible to them.
Yeah.
We can't just do whatever we want, walk all over whoever we want. We have to have accountability.
If I'm a parent, I'm accountable for my children. But as a parent, I need to be accountable to something and someone, so that I can be better, more accountable for my child,
Right.
for my children, right? So if I'm going to be a better accountability person for my children, then I need to be accountable to someone too. So that means, my boss, my mentors, my teachers, my pastors, whoever it is that I look up to, I need to be accountable to that person or that group of people, so that I can become better equipped to be accountable for the ones that are in my life. So
Yeah, and it may be more than one person, because you may be accountable to someone who's really good in one area of their life.
Yeah.
But they may not be so exemplary in another area of their life, and you don't want to be accountable. They may be a great parent, but they may fall short in their financial success, and you don't want to be accountable to them for your finances if they're not there.
That's true. So we the qualities we want to have in our own life, we have to find folks who have those qualities and be accountable in some way to that person, don't we? All right, that's good. So let's talk about leading others to it. Now, we talked about learning it, what it is, the law of magnetism. We've talked about living it out. Now we're going to talk about leading others to the law of magnetism. Now, there's some things here that we can listen for that gives us the opportunity to know when to teach this law. Now, some of this stuff is inner dialogue. Sometimes it's inner conversation in our own minds.
We hear ourselves saying.
We have to sometimes be aware that we have a conversation going on, and we may be thinking these things ourselves. But when we hear somebody speak in a negative way about others, we really need to find a way to edify that person while they're not in the room, don't we?
Yeah.
Now, why is that important? When we hear someone who's upset with somebody, start to tear them down, start to tear their performance and character down, what does that do?
It brings the whole team down, because if someone has a bad opinion of someone, then that's their expectation, and that's what they're going to they're going to start seeing those bad things all through the person's behavior. It's confirmation bias. Once you have an idea, you're going to look to validate that idea.
And also the important thing that the point I really want to drive home is this: to be a positive influencer, we can't become affected by that negativity.
Correct.
And it may take one person who's going to stand up and be positive to turn that, because the law of magnetism kicks in. The negativity starts. Pretty soon you got 10 people around the water cooler and we're running, tearing somebody down. But one person has to step in and say, you know what? I'm gonna say something positive about this person and try to turn that tide and begin to draw that positive energy out of people, because we all have the capacity and the ability to be positive or negative. But it's going to take a leader, an influencer, to change that. So we can't be influenced by the negative. We have to influence with the positive, don't we? All right, so when you hear somebody wish they had a better team, a better staff, or a better organization, what would you tell them, Bill?
Do you need to be a better leader yourself, a better person yourself, or your staff? If you've been there a while, over a period of a year or two, you've attracted that staff. That staff's yours. They're not something you inherited. They're something you formed.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, sometimes you do inherit that team.
Yeah, that's why.
And sometimes it takes a few years to turn that tide. But if you've been a leader for 4 or 5 years, and that team is still negative and critical, you still have some growth to do yourself, don't you? Because we are the leader, and we are supposed to be the influencer. So if we're seeing these things, in our teams, that means we still need to grow, and we always need to grow.
Yes.
We can never stop. If we get to the place where we think, I'm the leader, I don't need to grow anymore, and you need to grow, we've stopped. And they're going to come up to that lid, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're going to hit that lid of our own ability, and they're going to look at you and think, man, you need to grow yourself.
And if it's said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's it.
If you're the best leader in the room,
that's true.
you need to be in a new room.
I remember being in leadership training and different types of seminars or whatever. And I used to have this mindset. I used to think, boy, I wish my leader would take some of this. And then you look back and you are the leader, and the folks in the room are probably thinking, my leader needs this. But really, I finally learned to say, you know what? I'm not going to worry about my leader. I need to worry about me. I need to learn this. So if we take accountability and ownership of our own growth, things begin to change. So we have to take it for ourselves. So we need to look at ourselves and not think about somebody else needs this and so need this. We all need to grow, don't we? Yeah. All right, so an action plan. What should we do, Bill?
First, you need to know yourself, and introspection. What is your vision? What is your values? What's your mission? So if you don't have that, you're not going to know where to go. You're not going to know the next right thing to do.
That's so true. If you don't know what your vision is, what you want, if you don't know your core values and how you're going to accomplish the mission for your life, people are going to show up in your life just like a magnet. They're going to show up in your life, and you're not going to be able to deal with it, and you're going to get stuck. So we have to know where we want to go. So we have to grow ourselves and develop the qualities that we want to replicate and see in others. So if we want our team to look a certain way, behave a certain way, then we have to model that, don't we?
You want to change, you need to be the change.
All right. Well, talk to us about recruiting.
Recruit those who don't possess your particular strengths and embrace diversity. And it's an inclusive mindset. That's what we're talking about. There are certain areas that some people you're stronger in areas and weaker in others, and everyone's like that. Everyone's an individual.
Yeah.
And we need all these things. Talked about the law of navigation. If you're not a good navigator, you need to bring someone in who is a good navigator.
But what if I do and they find out this person's a better navigator than me? Would I be a bad leader?
No, you're not a bad leader. You're actually a good leader, because you're recognizing these are things I need buttressed in. These are things that I need help with.
So what you're saying is if I'm a good leader, I'm going to pull people up around me that have qualities that I don't have?
That's right.
So what do you think my team's going to think about that?
They're probably going to feel included,
okay,
and feel like you care about them, and that you care enough to get opinions outside yourself.
So that means I don't have to have all the answers.
You don't have to have all the answers.
Wow, man, that's a big load off my back.
That's a load off your shoulders.
So why do you think leaders think they have to have all the answers?
They're stuck in that production, and they're threatened. They don't want to. Growing is uncomfortable, and they don't want to step out of that comfort zone. So they're stuck in that comfort zone, and threatened by anyone that comes up and pushes them upward.
So if I've got an unhealthy self-esteem, it can show up in of holding people down, not pulling people up.
Yeah.
And it can be also in a, you know, I can be afraid to ask people because I might look weak. So to have a healthy self-esteem, I got to know myself, don't I?
Yeah.
And I got to know my team, don't I? So that's the whole thing about leadership. Real leadership pulls people up. They don't hold people down. And it's like, you know, I've heard in the past, you know, if it's lonely at the top and I'm by myself, did I lead or did I climb on somebody to get there?
Yeah.
You know, so we take our lead and take people with us. So think about this too as we get ready to close out the session. If 10 people in the room and everybody agrees with what the leader sees or says, none of those people are unnecessary, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't, you know, as a leader, as an influencer, we really shouldn't be seeking yes men and no and people who agree with everything. So we should be seeking that diversity because we want to share this common vision and mission and our values, but we want different thoughts and ideas about how to do things because you know what? Sometimes I don't have all the answers, but collectively, everybody in the group is smarter than any particular person in the group, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So to be a diverse team with different personalities and viewpoints, the leader must recruit and then grow with the team. So we stick to our strength zones, we recruit for our weaknesses, and we have to, sometimes that means going outside of the law of magnetism, isn't it?
It does.
So most of the time, if you take a leader, I remember a story of one pastor who was a musically inclined pastor, was there for 25 years. His church was full of music people. So when the next leader moved in, it was a big transition. This leader taught leadership, and pretty soon people were coming from all over the country to hear this leader speak, and the music folks were gone. Well, was the music bad?
No.
No, it wasn't. It's just that's just the law of magnetism in effect. So whoever you are is who you're going to attract, and that's just the way it is. So if you want someone else in your life, recruit for it, and change your values and mission if that's what it takes. We are who we are.
Yes.
We just want to be the best person that we can be. I don't want to be Bill, and I'm sure you don't want to be me.
Right.
And so I just want to drive that home. Don't change who you are. Just improve who you are. All right. Well, that's it for today. Now, next week, we're going to move on to lesson of the law of connection. And this is something we'll talk about how we can better connect with people to be better leaders. You know, too many times we, as a leader, we expect people to come connect with us, don't we? And really, as a leader, it's our responsibility to connect with other people. And we got to learn how to do that. We have some bridges to build with younger folks in this day and time. I remember a time that I had to learn how to say, you know, this younger generation, you have something that I need. And so I have to go get into their world. And we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. But it's really a powerful lesson. Well, leave us your comments. Talk to us about what you learned today, or questions or comments about things. Maybe we can share some more information, or you can share some insight with me. Share your stories of law of magnetism, because we would love to hear from you. Now, again, you can go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to this channel. You'll get a notice each week when the live stream is going to come. You can also go to GiantSlayerConsultants.com. We have some resources on there. We have free resources. You can actually get this PowerPoint slide that we used today, and hopefully you can use it to share with your team and improve the quality of teamwork on your team or organization or whatever. You're free to it's free. You can use it for whatever you want to. And if you have any questions or comments, leave us your name and contact information on our page. And you also text 4428. Well, let me make sure that's right. Anyway, at the top of my page, you can just text the word giant to, I think it's, well, anyway, just go to my website. Pull it up. Don't want to confuse you anymore than what I already have. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. It's been a great week. Tune in next week, same time, same place, and we'll share about the law of connection. Thank you.
Thank you.